y'all ready? It's 5:30. We got a quorum? We do have a quorum. Okay, so let's call this meeting to order. Y'all had a chance to look at the minutes? Did you get any? You want any?
No, ma'am, I'm good, thank you.
Have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion. Second.
In a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. Public comment. Is this where I want to put Judge Tatum, or I want to put him under new business? What do you think, Mike?
I think it's old business.
It's old business, you're correct.
It is old business.
Okay. Well then, Judge Tatum, you want to talk?
I just want to introduce Judge Lee, who's going to do all the talking.
Okay. Did he know that?
Yeah, he did, right now.
No, something brought to our attention last year when the county commission voted for the funding for the new judicial building, and I want to emphasize this. There were months leading up to that with multiple meetings with the architects and fine tuning the footprint of the building, and once they got the final plan done, we all were asked to sign off on it, which we did. A few months back, well after, the building started coming out of the ground, a few months back, one of the chief deputy clerks in the sessions office asked me if I'd seen any of the floor plans. It had been a while since we'd seen them. Said no, she reached out to Robert Bain and he emailed her the plans they were going on after, and I looked at them and Judge Lee looked at them, and what we're concerned about is this first floor with the Division II General Sessions courtroom. I don't know that y'all have a copy of it, but Robert was kind enough to email it to us, and then they had to enlarge it. And the plans had changed, and from what we had talked about the floor plan, where doors were and so forth, and the configuration of the courtroom. And Judge Lee can speak to this better, but it basically made it not so user-friendly, where we had spent a lot of time about how traffic was going to flow, and attorneys were going to meet with defendants while court was going on, and there wasn't a rear exit door for the judge if something were to happen in there, security-wise, and there were some problems. Some changes had been made. So we got with Robert, and he was good enough I can't say enough good things about Robert, about coming over and saying, what are the problems here? And I'm glad you're here, Robert, but these are the problems, and he would go back and talk to the architects and make the changes, and we'd come back, and we're still working out some kinks with it. But one of the things I just mentioned, and I remember this during the design phase, I know that you can get a software package that you can put on your home computer. You can do a layout of a house, or a layout of a shop, layout of a commercial building in 2 dimensions. And then you can press a button or click on, use a mouse and click on a button, and you can put it in 3 dimensions, and you can actually walk through a room just like the room we're in. You can do a 360 panoramic turnaround. You can go through this door, go down that hallway, go out that door, go down the hallway. I think that would be something good to see, because it's hard to visualize, at least for me, to look at 2 dimensions on a sheet of paper, and then try to visualize what this is going to look like going down a hallway, going through a doorway. Judge Lee's deals with an enormous number of people that come through that court. He was talking about this morning, you said there were 50 that left who were just, they were there as support people or rides for folks who were actually on the case. So that's 50 people who didn't need to be there.
It was 10:30 before everybody that was on the docket was even in the room.
And I
It
mean,
started at 9.
And so it's a large traffic flow, and that's the reason that we wanted to keep that on the first floor, so it's the most accessible for the people. But the probation office in there, in looking at it currently, if you go up to the music building, when people come in through the security checkpoint, they go down the hall, well, they don't even have to go down the hallway. The first door are basically a couple of windows where you go up and you turn in your paperwork to the probation office. It's there within sight and sound of the security desk. The way this one is drawn up, you actually go down pretty well the length of the hallway, then go through a door, and you're out of sight when you're meeting with the probation office. Not that there's a lot of problems in that, but our opinion is that it would be better if the pay windows where you turn in your community service hours, you turn in your certificates of classes or schools that you've been required to complete, or where you pay your probation fees, that ought to be done in the main hallway there. It's across from a bank of elevators. There's the hallway, I think Robert said was 9 feet 4 inches wide. But when you get back there to the hallway where the elevators are, it's almost double that space. But you typically run into your bigger crowds at probation in the late afternoon, particularly on a Friday or a Thursday when people are getting paid. And that's when you'll have 2, 3, 4 deep standing there waiting. So our thought would be that that office ought to be rotated clockwise 90 degrees and put those pay windows on the outside, like similar to what the clerk's offices have. What else to talk about?
That was the main concern, putting them in a reception area, inside that enclosed area. I'm not saying anything would happen, but it creates an opportunity for things to happen. And then you've got security having to go through another closed door to get there. Just it'd be better if there was an opportunity for them to just go to a window, main hallway.
Makes more sense.
And two, the other thing, you can have all the security cameras in the world and see what's going on, but generally, and we've all seen this, when you're in a public place and a disturbance or a disagreement is starting, what's the first thing that you notice? It's that voice getting raised, and what do you mean you lost my receipt? And that draws your attention to what's going on down the hallway. So if they're back down a hallway behind a closed door, you don't get that necessarily that first alert. And you can't listen in on the conversations with the security cameras. You're just watching.
Officer presence means a lot.
Yeah.
The courtroom, the layout, I know that one of the sticking points was how the clerks were coming and going from the courtroom, and that got worked out, that got signed off on.
Yes.
Then it's my understanding, at some point after that got signed off on, it got changed.
Yes.
Why, I don't understand how things get changed when everybody's agreed on it, or we wouldn't agreed on it.
Well, this is my understanding, is that there were obviously several meetings that took place, and in one of the last meetings, and I don't know whether this was before or after we signed off on it, I believe it was after.
You were the last one to sign off though.
Well, I met with them 7 or 8
Yeah.
times because things were, and the guy came from Illinois or Indiana or wherever he came from, we signed off on it. At that, at one of the meetings, they changed something to move the clerk and master upstairs, and then at the same time, they said it was talked about that there was a need for more space to meet with inmates. And I'm just giving an opinion. I think that they mixed that up with criminal court, circuit court, with general sessions, because they expanded an attorney inmate area, huge, meet with inmates right behind my bench, and the only access was to go through a secure door behind my bench into the secure area of the building and in, which you have 30 of these a day, 30, 35 times a day. You have public defenders, private attorneys, people meeting with them. And what I signed off on was going through the opposite side door into the secure hall where they bring them into the jail, step out, meet with them for 5 minutes, because unless it's for a preliminary hearing with an inmate, their meetings are 5, 10 minutes max. the way this had it, it had the entire flow of all your attorneys coming into the secure area of the entire building with access to the rest of the building, then going into this meeting area. And to be quite honest with you, the sheriff didn't know that either.
Oh,
And he was like, this is almost unusable, we can't do this if it's like this. He would have to staff the hall, he would have had to do all these things. We did not even have a door leading into that area within the courtroom. They had to go out into the secure area, behind my bench where I come in and out, where the clerks are, and then go into that area. So that's been changed. They added a door off to my left that goes directly into that area. They made it much smaller, where at least now attorneys can go in and out from the courtroom. They're not going into a secure area of the building. I mean, that was, one of the main concerns with that. The other concern was how they were coming. Today, for instance, I think we probably had 25 people go on probation, so they come from the courtroom, go directly out the side door, directly into our probation office. Under the way this was before, they came out the same secure door that I come through, the clerks come through, and your probationers would be taken out, and then down this hallway into probations. Mr. Paynes took care of that as well.
good.
Shifted that, have 2 secure doors down that hallway that are fob access only. Of course, the sheriff controls that.
And I know change orders happen, but these are pretty significant things, and remind me, all the county officials signed off, and then it came to the county court, and we approved it.
Yeah.
And then so they sign off, we approved it, and then it gets changed without coming back to the
Anybody.
county officials or the county court. That's the problem I have.
Well, I have a problem with it too, but the real question, I guess, is what was bid out, Robert? What was in the plans when they were submitted for bid? Was this what was submitted?
Well, this right here is what we modified and changed and rotated just for more security for Judge Lee and to take care of some of the traffic flow and to improve bid.
But that's what got bid out, the original plan,
Right, and the original, this right here is the modification we made, once we bid.
after they made the modification.
Yeah, this here's what, so I don't know, all the modification, I saw it on the other plans, and I thought, well, that don't work, whenever they called it to my attention too, that don't work, we gotta change that. So that's what
That's
we're
what you're
working to
getting
get
at, right?
done. But this is the bottom floor, they just started throwing up some exterior walls, putting some studs on that, metal studs on that, so we got in front of this right here as fast as we could and jumped on it.
It's nothing that we can't
But
handle
still, my
right now.
question is, what did they bid on? Did they bid on this, or did they bid on what they're proposing
What
right
are
now?
what are the,
We'll have to go back to the architect to find
We'll
out,
go back to them
because they
and find
don't
out
give
what
us
all
copies,
that was
we
bid.
don't publish copies of the plans when we go out to bid.
But the original bid was what we approved.
Yes.
yes.
I would assume so, I'm just saying that
Yes.
what it will say
What I'm
is,
trying to ask you is, was this changed after we agreed to a bid or before? If it's changed after, then there's a problem. If it's not, I guess it's our problem to deal with, correct? I mean, we need to address it no matter what.
what I'm trying to say is basically, when we put out to bid for a building, the plans are on file with whatever.
Well,
So we don't have a copy of the plans in the finance office, so
Right.
it would be
Well, I
whatever,
understand
yes,
you
it would be
don't, but-
whatever, I don't know what
Original
you.
plans
But I
were-
assume our architects should
They should
know
have.
what we wanted.
Yes,
So at what point was this changed as to whether, really, who's gonna foot the bill for this? I'm gonna not cut
Yes,
to the chase.
Well, not just put the bill, but we're not getting what we approved.
Right.
Well,
and I think what I'm just trying to say is, I don't know that any of us know when it got changed right now. It's the first I've heard about it myself. I don't know when.
Well, what we signed off on, and, I've had the same thoughts y'all have, is how did it get changed? And, but there's some fine print on it that says that, the plan, you're approving these plans as drawn. As we go forward through this process, there may need to be some changes. If there are, then we will come to you with these changes for those to be considered and approved later on. So they had some wiggle room in it that, for example, this door, if there was some code requirement that said that door needed to be a right-hand swing as opposed to a left-hand swing, they could make that change. But if they encountered something like that. So those changes got made from what we had signed off on and what y'all had voted on, but when they did get changed, I don't know did they even come back to any of us who actually are gonna be using it
And then
on a
sign.
daily basis, and they didn't. That's the concern.
That they were supposed to.
That they should have, those should have been re-signed. In other words, a change order should have been signed off on by the folks who were gonna be using the actual building, using the end product.
Which is another reason I like construction
You're
managers.
not meant to, but we're not in that
I know.
situation, so we might as well have that.
So who's in charge of gonna fix this and communicate?
I guess I'm more irritated, not who's gonna pay, I'm more irritated from the fact that there was such a big deal made, a huge deal made about signing off,
The
approving
layout.
it. Matter of fact, they had to come you and I met, they had to come many times, signing off, and we're not doing anything, we're not gonna break down till everybody agrees. And then the county court agrees, and we pass it, and then it's changed. Same thing's gonna happen with the land use plan anyway, but,
Thanks for that.
but this got changed without anybody's permission. Other than maybe, I don't know if Robert didn't know about it. I don't know who else would know besides Robert.
You didn't know it till tonight.
Robert or I, one will have to try to backtrack into where and when it changed.
And so unilaterally, somebody made a change, and I'm more upset, the money's one thing, but I'm more upset that a change was made that could
Without anybody-
materially affect how we go about business.
It was gonna make it less secure, and it was gonna make it a whole lot less efficient for that
Yeah.
court.
Yeah,
Do you have any kind of idea about money, Robert, what this is gonna involve?
Well, no, we just, pretty much, we took the plan, we rotated just the probation, so we did, we rotated it. So nothing has been, all the walls are still there, you know, it's just, the architect's time to just take and rotate that right there is all there was to it.
What else has been changed is gonna be my next question.
but they don't.
And you may not know until the building's built, we're in
Yeah,
it.
as far as I know, nothing else has been changed, you don't know anything. There was an email that, I guess the mayor got from, Jason on the steps for all this right here. I don't have all that in front of me, so I had to go back and look at that right there myself, on what all this area looked like beforehand. I don't know if y'all have it, it's on my little phone here, but, I've got that information, but I still don't have all the copies in front of me of what it looked like prior to when we picked up on this right here, then we made the changes to get, make it flow better and give Judge Lee more security.
And which goes back again to what I was saying, if you could do a 3D walkthrough of it.
Which they have, we did it with our schools.
I mean, it's a matter of clicking a few buttons. If those plans are on a computer somewhere,
Yeah.
and they're not on a cheap program, you can go get a cheap program and do the 3D walkthrough. So it's, my thought would be is you get these architects in here, or builders, or whoever they are, and do it in the big courtroom in there, and you use your big screens and say, all right, you're gonna be in the clerk master's office now. This is what it's gonna look like. You get off the elevator, you come off the stairwell, you walk into this office, and you can see it. Millie Sloan and her people need to
Is
see
there a
that.
possibility that Jason and them already have that ability?
I'm sure
I'm
they
pretty
do.
sure they do.
So we just need to ask to see if we could do that.
Yeah, we'll ask them, I'll get down here to ask them.
And another thing that I was talking to one of these cable running people about. I don't know, when I talked to Robert about this here today, we're just looking at a floor plan, we're not looking at a low voltage power plan, we're not looking at a plumbing plan, anything on here, but, and it makes sense about this, if you wire a building and you put in electrical work, and you put in your switches, and you put in your receptacles, it's a whole lot easier to do that before you start putting drywall up. And same thing goes for this low voltage stuff, for all the technology that you have. You know, my thought is you ought to have a drop down, whatever codes say that you're supposed to have, and you should have it on every wall, because spaces get changed in their use. You ought to have that flexibility. This fellow I talked to who's in this line of work, he said, he's done a lot of work in the commercial sector, and he said what he's seen, and in the residential sector, pulling cable. And he said what you'll see is a builder will start doing this, and if this room said had 4 drops in it for Cat 6 wire, they'll say, well, you know, we're not gonna be as profitable on this, or we're getting into our margins, we're gonna cut this back to, instead of having 5 drops, we're gonna cut it back to 3. And it, you know, it saves them 40% just on that one room. Well, on a space this big, if they do that, that could be a lot of money, and then later on, you're gonna have to pay somebody to come in and drop these little wire cable hider things like we've got. So,
Yeah.
And they have that same CAD program, when we built Jones Brummett, you could walk through the school, but they also backed it off and watched the pipes go through, watch the wires go through, that way they knew when they would have an issue with a pipe, well, pipe can't go through this wall, so we need to find another way around it.
yeah,
So I know they have the ability to.
the
have it
ability's there.
Software.
You know, one thing, and I can't emphasize how helpful Robert's been with this, but this plan, and too, I'm gonna throw kudos out here to Kim Stewart. She's the chief deputy clerk. She's the one that said, hey, have you seen the floor plans? I wouldn't have thought to do that, you know, and, so.
Because you already approved it.
Yeah, we'd already
Yeah.
approved it. And I said, yeah, so she reached out to Robert, she got them, and we started looking at them. And one of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, right behind your bench, instead of having an escape door, toilet, there was a toilet. And that, you had 2 of them actually side by side and a pass through in between. And don't get me wrong, Judge Lee does use toilets, but it didn't need to be there. And because you had one right across the hall, it's a limited access area. And, you know, Robert's point was, well, they haven't started pouring concrete here yet, but they were getting ready to, and we were able to catch in time to make that change. So, like I said, personally, and I think collectively, from Judge Hagan and Judge Lee and myself, we can't thank Robert enough for jumping on this and, you know, telling them what our concerns are. But I think it would be really, really, really beneficial to have a presentation to where each one of y'all can see now, show us what this is gonna look like if I'm walking through it, because building belongs to all 150 some odd thousand people in this county, but y'all are the 25 that are funding it and paying for it, authorized it. It'd be good to see what you get,
Okay.
my opinion.
Robert, are you taking care of this?
Yeah, I got-
Make some
I know
phone
you're
calls, and then
talking-
you're gonna maybe schedule this,
I'll talk to Jason about it.
and then we'll meet again, or meet with everybody, whatever you wanna do. Does that work?
I would ask to include the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked with him a couple times, and he wasn't aware of this, and he's charged with securing this building, securing for the whole thing, adding people, and I can't speak for him, but this highly concerned him the way this
Boy.
layout was, the way it was, and I'll say this part, won't speak for you, it would have been very difficult for us to handle cases in the layout and the manner of the way that was, to the extent I would probably have been asking you to stay where I'm at, because I can handle the 25, 26,000 the way they're going now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could have gotten them done in the time frame allowed, the way that was set up.
Well, I'm
Is this-
sorry it happened.
Is
You
this,
did?
is this courtroom wider?
Yes,
That's why it's gonna seat more.
it's about 50 more, about 50 more.
Robert, what is the time frame about being able to make these changes?
Pretty quick.
Well, pretty quick. I say we jumped on that. They start pouring the foundation on the first floor this week. So that's gonna happen this week.
So
The other floors are already poured. I mean, everything's in place on them as far as, not saying that a wall can be changed or a door can be changed, you know, that have to be done pretty quick as well. But the bottom floor, I say they will pour this week. But no interior walls have gone up at this point. There's been a few there has been a few walls go up on the second floor for the courtrooms right now. I see that, I walked through it last Friday. I try to walk through at least every week or bi-weekly, and walk through and look at all the construction crew. And they've done a good job on being straightforward on everything. If anything comes up, we have our meetings monthly, we discuss everything, and they're good about communicating to me and the architect and everybody about things. If they run across something.
Okay, so you're gonna take care of this and get back with us, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay, is that good?
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch. Okay, Robert. The real reason we are here is because Robert's trying to spend money.
That seat's a little wet.
Sure you didn't do anything, Judge. I took care of you going to Murray County, man.
Yeah, I got one. Thank you.
Did you get the minutes?
Okay, Robert, what you got?
So, just looking to try to add some money to some non-recurring funds from capital projects to the HVAC line. I have in 189. So looking at adding $250,000. I got a unit, an old unit, Aeon unit that's on the jail that's gone out. And you see that there it's $81,440, $404 for it. And so I want to use part of that money there just to finish out the rest of the year, to take care of any units that come up. There's still large units on the jail that could, you never know what's going to happen as you get into winter or next spring. Something could happen with those, and there are also about 1,700 to 2,200 units there. So I'm asking for those funds there from capital projects, non-recurring. And then for the, also from capital projects, we're about to the point of, I'd like to ask for the $420,000 for milling, resurfacing, and striping, USDA, WEMA headquarters and WEMA training parking lots there. They're all going to need that done to them as soon as we can get all those things finished over there. UT extension should be done here next few weeks or months at least on that expansion we did over there.
Does that include the road too, or just the parking lot?
That's just going to be the parking lot. You know, we redid that road a few years back. It was still in pretty good shape.
I know they cut across it though. The city did, that's why I was.
Yeah, the city cut across that section right there. It's held up pretty well so far.
Seems like a lot of money for, you know, more than I do,
Does me too, but
For those-
I don't have any numbers to base it on.
for those areas, but.
But,
Those
I
are,
mean, my question is, do you want 420,000 or do you want up to 420,000?
420,000.
I mean, so what are you gonna do with the extra if you have any left?
And just run back into capital projects.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you up to
Up to
420,000.
Is that unit on top of the jail fixed now? Oh, is everything running, not on top of the jail, but on top of
The,
the courthouses?
yes,
Judge Tatum and Judge Lee's?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we want that to
We
work,
got those
don't we?
to do. Clerks,
That's why they're
everybody's changed out.
Well, it was cold and it was hot. In those courtrooms, so.
Oh, man.
So that's from capital projects.
Okay, so we need two motions here really, right? Correct? Yes. One for the HVAC.
I'll make a motion for the $250,000 for the HVAC replacements.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Uh,
Ayes have it. Okay. And then, we need to do the parking, right? No, I skipped the 420.
Just the parking.
Yeah,
That's,
just plus the parking.
that's already been bid too. Is that the bid,
Parking.
Robert? Is that right? This is the parking.
420.
I'm putting it out for bid, but I've got I've got a hard estimate
Okay.
from a local contractor who, they padded their number and I padded it.
Okay,
Make
and
a
the
motion,
park.
we approve the 420 for the resurfacing.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. The ayes have it, okay. Now we're gonna do the
general fund.
Yes, general fund.
So, you know, we got we bid out the reseal and stripe job. And this spring was just, the weekends were just filled with rain and it never could get done. We got one or two done here and there, one or two done here and there, we had 10 lots to do. And as we got to the end, we ended up going past June 30th, and so that money rolled back and from capital projects back into capital projects. So I ended up covering that funds, that $42,933.49 from my 335 line to pay the vendor for their work that they did. And so I'm just asking for that money to be, to come back to my budget to replace it, that I took out to pay the vendor for the work they did.
You good? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
The ayes have it. Okay, is there anything else that needs to come before this committee? We did old business backwards, so we got to take care of that. Any new business? Okay. There's another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.